पंडित जी आइए, जोत जलाइए।
तेरा लग गया ना क्या?
लग गया जी, वो तो अंदर बढ़ निकलना ये देखो बंद कर और दिन आज तक किसी ना कॉम्प्रोमाइज
शुगर नहीं डाली मैंने।
ये मैंने इनको शुगर ले हाँ
उनको सेकंड नाम
हेलो, ये इंद्रजीत सालवन जी जो हैं, उन्होंने ये ग्रुप स्टार्ट किया लेस्टर में, एंड वी आर हियर इन एसोसिएशन इन विद माता दा मंदिर. First of all, I will call Ari ji to say a few words about Indrajit Salwan. आइए, Ari ji.
जम्बूफलचारुभक्षणं उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारकं नमामि विघ्नेश्वर पादपङ्कजम्. Respected ladies and gents, the Hindu Religion Study Group, Leicester, originally started about 50 years ago, and Mr. Salwan dedicated all his life to have more and people joining it, although there were not many Punjabis in Leicester, so he thought a good idea to join it with Mata da Mandir, where there would be more people interested in promoting the Hindu religion, Hindu religious group, and it's nearly 1 year since he joined with Mata da Mandir, and every month when we have this meeting, the number of devotees joining it are increasing, which is a good sign. Thanks to Mr. Indrajit Salwan for this. And hopefully we keep carrying on, taking this message wide forward and to more and more people. Thank you.
पंडित जी जोत अपने मंत्र बोलिए पंडित जी स्टार्टिंग पे.
Now we will pray Ganesh Prarthana, so you can also join, because if anything you want to start it, first you have to pray Gauri and Ganesh. That's why we are starting. Gajananam bhute gadadhisevatam kapitha jambu phalacharu bhakshanam उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारकं नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजं नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजं. Now we will start Om 3 times, so you can also join. Oh भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते श्रीनारायणी नमोस्तुते. Thank you very much.
I just tell you a little bit about this branch. Atul Agarwal ji is president, myself is coordinator, and we got two co-coordinator, Savita Bakshi, and also Vijay Sharma. So three of us are doing a lot of work in Atul Agarwal's guiding as well. So now I have to tell you that we have started talks in January, and first talk was introduction regarding Hindu Religious Study Group Leicester and Sanatana Hindu Dharam. Second one was respect for parents and elders in the family and community by Gopal Ariji. Third one was what makes a good human being by Atul Agarwal ji. Fourth one was role of a woman in a Hindu family, which was delivered by Vibha Kale. And Bhakti through Bhajan and Kirtan was role of a woman, and the Bhakti through Bhajan Kirtan. Who did that? No, it's not done yet. It's need of a guru. Yes. Sanatana Hindu philosophies, and today's one is Bhakti through salvation through devotion. It's been upside down, that's why I was a bit confused. Salvation through devotion or Bhakti, which will be delivered by Vandana Day. I would call Vandana Day. Can you please give her a big round of applause? Vandana Day. That's all yours, ma'am.
Namaste everyone, thank you for inviting me here today to speak a little bit. I'd like to first of all request everyone's blessings, because you will hear that those of you that are here today are elder to me in age and in wisdom. So I pray for your blessings, that I might be able to share something that will be useful for all of us today. So the topic we're doing today is salvation through Bhakti. So before I start, I just wanted to do some prayers quickly. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiriyam. So before I begin today, I wanted to point out something about how we get knowledge from the Vedas. Now, many of you may have a variety of knowledge already on different topics, but with the Vedas, the knowledge is received in a spiralized way. So I'll draw a diagram on the board just to give you an understanding of what I mean.
इसको माइक को कर दो थोड़ा ऊंचा ना. No, sorry.
So spiralized means you may know something, you may have some knowledge of something, and then you may receive other knowledge from elsewhere. You may think, no, that doesn't fit in with what I know, or that's not what I was taught, or that's not what I understand. So spiralized knowledge means that there's some knowledge that's there in the beginning, and then on that same knowledge you will get more. As your knowledge develops, you'll develop more knowledge. So I'll give you an example. From the Puranas, generally we know that there are 10 avatars or 10 avatars of the Lord. But once you read a bit further, you understand that there's more than 10. There's an unlimited amount of avatars of the Lord. So someone may turn around and say, that's not right. There's always been that avatar. Where are you making up all the rest of these avatars from? So the idea is it's spiralized. We've got that little bit of knowledge first, then our knowledge gets deeper and deeper as we go outwards. Okay? And then even as your knowledge gets even deeper, you realize that out of the 10 avatar, some individuals, they come more times. So Varahadev comes more than once. He'll come twice within one kalpa. So if you just bear that in mind when you're receiving knowledge, and also just to keep your minds open. And I like to do interactive sessions, so you're more than welcome to ask questions if you don't quite understand a concept. And I really want today to be about you reflecting about your journey, your spiritual journey. So when I'm going through things, I want you to think about, what am I doing in my spiritual life, and how can I go deeper? How can I attain salvation? So, I want to start off by doing an interactive exercise. So I'd like for you to pair up with someone. So, and I want you to have a discussion about what you think salvation is, or mukti, or moksha. So before I explain anything, I'd like to hear what your understanding is. So I'll give you about 2 or 3 minutes. If you just turn, if you're being pairs, so if you don't have a pair next to you, if you go off and be with a pair, you can be with my daughter behind, if you want to. And just really think about what is mukti, what is salvation, what does it mean to you, and also why is it important? Why do you think mukti is important? So over to you guys. Have a think. I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes to discuss that.
What we should do. And while we are alive, it's only body, right? It's not just
don't need freedom like out of prison and that. And something in your mind. Something that you just not sure what. But I agree with what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense. But the thing what माला बदल गया इधर आज जहाँ पे सवाल चला मुक्ति के पास में उधर कुछ अच्छा हो रहा
So not just Panditji, you guys also need to understand your understanding. Not Panditji understand what you do. What do you think should be? Just whatever you think about it. About your
if you can speak a little bit of Hindi or Punjabi, whatever, so it will make easy to understand. We understand English, but it helps.
सही बात है पर आजकल क्योंकि बच्चे आजकल के क्योंकि मंदिर में यंगस्टर्स क्यों नहीं आते क्योंकि उनको हिंदी पंजाबी नहीं आती तो उनको बस सही बात है हाँ मैं हिंदी में बोल सकती हूँ
नहीं मिक्स although we study in English, but if you say anything in Sanskrit or something, you think it's to be brought it here, that's fine.
So, I can see you wrapping up your conversation. So, मेरा प्रश्न ये है कि आपकी समझ में मुक्ति क्या है? मेरी हिंदी इतनी अच्छी नहीं है, पर मैं कोशिश करूँगी. चलेगा?
चलेगा.
तो आपके दिमाग में आपने कई बार सुना होगा मुक्ति के बारे में, पर आपके समझ में मुक्ति क्या है? तो आप हाथ उठा सकते हैं जो किसने जवाब देना है तो, नहीं तो मैं खुद आपसे पूछूंगी.
I think it was like freedom from your mind, that I haven't really thought a lot about
Yeah,
salvation,
that's
but that's the basic of what I could think it was.
Okay, so salvation is the English word for mukti or moksha, and you're saying you think it means to be free from your mind.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. Yes.
I think it means eternal things, like never ending.
You think it means eternal things, salvation. Okay, wonderful, thank you. Anybody else?
I think controlling your desires leads to the bhakti. So basically it is controlling your desires first. Yeah.
Okay, so you think mukti is controlling your desires?
Yes.
Okay,
If
wonderful.
you have a lot of desires, you can't stick for the mukti.
जीवात्मा का परमात्मा में मिलन ही मुक्ति है.
Okay, so mukti is the liberation of the soul to be connected with God. Okay? Anyone else? Any other different answers we've got here?
No birth, no death.
Okay. No birth, no death. Okay. Is mukti. Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Serving mankind.
Serving mankind? Okay, sure.
That doesn't come in it.
Yeah.
When I think of salvation, the image of Shiva comes into my head. Like the beam of fire, no beginning, no ending. And it's like my sort of on day-to-day basis, almost like I'm trying to understand and trying to merge with that. What Acharya said, merging with the divine in that sense with no beginning, no ending. So you're going internally as well as going externally, but without any destination, without any beginning, without an ending. Yeah, it's quite very different concept to what I used to have when I was little.
Sure.
Because for me, the word would be always like freedom, free away from my pain and suffering. Because I thought if I get to my freedom, it means I'm away from all these cycles and everything. But the more I'm learning, I realize, hang on, that's not quite the same, and I'm still learning on day-to-day basis.
Sure.
But I say
Thank
all I
you.
know is a Shiva image of with no beginning or ending.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, salvation is getting rid of from material things. I mean, some people say, which is I don't know yet, didn't reach up to that, like devotional things as well, detached to everything, either spiritual or material things.
Sure. Okay, so as you can see, we've all got different understandings. Did you want to share something?
जहाँ पे आपकी सारी इच्छाएं खत्म हो जाए वहाँ से मुक्ति शुरू है.
Sure. So we've got different responses from different individuals, and here nobody's wrong. Okay, so there is different understandings of what mukti is. But what I'm going to speak to is the final meaning of mukti. So mukti is like a final destination, and you may be on different points of journey. So for you, mukti could be freedom from the mind, freedom from desires, freedom from all these different things. But ultimately, salvation is, as somebody mentioned here, is the freedom from the cycle of birth and death. Okay, so that's what mukti is. Okay, so if you can talk to me and tell me, what do you think is the cycle? How does it work? So we've got birth. What next do we have? The human cycle of life, yes. Anybody? So yeah, we got birth, childhood, all those things. You then, as we go through life, we'll get disease eventually. Then we'll have old age. Yeah, and then you have death. Okay, and then after death you have birth again. Okay, so mukti is that point, is when you become free
From rebirth.
from the cycle of rebirth. So how does that fit in with becoming free of your thoughts and your mind and getting detached? That is also part of the process to get mukti. Okay, so on different levels we may have different understandings. So for you it might be to go through a really tough day and still stay positive, right? That means on some level you're liberated from the suffering that you're going through in that day, that you haven't let your activities affect your mind. That is also a state of liberation. But like I said, I'm going to discuss mostly the final conclusion of what mukti is. So mukti means freedom from the cycle of birth and death. Now how do we get free from the cycle of birth and death? Just very short, 2 or 3 word answers. Anybody? Through prayer, good karma, thinking positive.
आप कुछ भी ऐसा वो ना सोचे कि देखिए, अब हम कहते हैं कि जन्म कब होगा, कि जब हमारी कोई इच्छा कंप्लीट नहीं होगी फिर हमारा रीबर्थ होगा. तो जब हम अपनी इच्छाएं खत्म कर देंगे कि भाई मुझे अब क्या होता है, हम रात को सोते हैं, सुबह उठते हैं, ये सोच के उठते हैं कि मुझे कल ये काम करना है, तो हम वो करते हैं. तो वैसे ही हमारा मुक्ति के लिए है कि सभी इच्छाएं खत्म कर दीजिए ताकि आपको आगे जन्म ना लेना पड़े.
Thank you. Akarma. Yes. Okay. So wonderful. So we've got these different perspectives. Now I'm going to go through the like I said, the top side types of mukti. So seeming like your point is great that it's that point when you don't have desire. Jab tak hamari koi ichha nahi reh jati. But that sounds really depressing and it sounds really boring because as humans we've got so many desires. Right? To say, right, I'm going to wake up one morning, I want no desires, that is going to be liberation, can actually sound really depressing. Okay? So, because that's the first level of understanding. Once you understand about bhakti, then you understand that yes, you can have ichai, you can have desires, but those desires are used for a higher purpose, not for your own self. Okay? Because as humans, we cannot switch our mind off, our mind is always thinking. And Krishna discusses this with Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna is saying, I must be like this, but how can I do that? My mind is so chanchal, my mind is so active, how can I stop my mind from thinking? And then Krishna says, no one's saying to stop your mind from thinking, but everyone's saying to deliver it and think higher thoughts, a higher way of thinking. Okay, so this is the cycle of birth and death. Now, in the Shastra, it explains that there's 5 different types of mukti. Okay, and I'm defining mukti today from the Shastra as freedom from the cycle of birth and death. Okay, now, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that whatever you think about at the time of death, that is the body you attain in your next life. Right? Now, how is it you can think something at the time of death, but not think about it all your life? That's why this topic is very important from a younger age to learn about, because whatever your desires are as you're going through life, that is most likely going to be your desire at the time of death. Okay? Now, you only get freedom from the cycle of birth and death and mukti once you attain a certain level of understanding. And that's where bhakti comes in. But I'll speak a little bit about that later. So first of all, does anybody know the different types of mukti that there are? Okay, so I'm going to write them down. I'm going to write the Sanskrit, and then I'll explain the English as well. So the first one is Sahujya Mukti. Does anybody understand that word in Sanskrit? Anybody?
I don't know.
Where there is some interest behind it, that's Sahujya. That you need something, you want something more, that is Sahujya.
Okay. So this Sanskrit word Sahujya means to merge into the light, right? To merge with God. So there's 5 different types. And it's important to know what type of mukti you want, because that's what you have to think about at the time of death. Okay? So it's important. It's like when you go for an exam, you've done no preparation for it, are you going to fail the exam or pass it? You're not going to get the best marks, are you? So our ultimate journey of our life is to prepare ourselves so that at the time of death, we perfect what we're going to do, what we're going to do with our next life, where we're going to go. And if you don't know where you want to go and you're confused about the philosophy, then it's going to be a bit difficult. So you're going to have to take birth again in order to get that understanding. Okay? So the first level of mukti is, this is where you think God is a light, God is an energy. You haven't quite grasped the concept that he's a personality who likes to eat certain things, behave in a certain way, looks in a certain way. So this is Sahujya Mukti. And it's not considered to be the highest level of mukti that you can get. Okay? So the second one is Sarupya. Does anybody know what that means?
भगवान के रूप दे विच मर्ज
हाँ नहीं पहला वाला है जो भगवान के रूप में आप सोचते हैं कि भगवान सिर्फ एक ज्योति है तो आप उसमें समा जाते हैं, वो तो पहला वाला है। दूसरा वाला है स्वरूपया, आप समझते हैं कि भगवान का एक रूप है और आप सोचते हैं कि मेरा भी रूप उन्हें जैसा हो। जैसे वैकुंठ लोक में आप फोटो देखते हैं या पिक्चर देखते हैं, उसमें दिखाते हैं कि विष्णु जी बैठे हैं और सब लोग विष्णु जैसे ही लगते हैं, 4 आर्म, 4 भुजाएं, लोटस फ्लावर, conch, सब is the same. पर आप भगवान नहीं होते, भगवान सिर्फ विष्णु ही है, पर सब उसका स्वरूप आपके पास है। तो ये दूसरा वाला है। और तीसरा वाला सालोक्य। Salokya is to live with the Lord in the same planet as Him. Okay? And that's why it's important. You need to know in your life, who are you worshipping? Because at that time, at the time of death, that's who you're going to think about, and that's where you're going to go. So if you're worshipping a variety of different personalities, who are you going to think about at the time of death? Yeah? If you're, even now, we're like, okay, so who's your Aradhya? And you're like, oh no, but I like Shiva, and I like Vishnu, and I like Ganesh as well. I don't know, they're all the same to me. Okay? But in the spiritual world, you have there's single planets, different destinations that you can go to. If you don't know what you're doing, at the time of death, you don't know where you want to go, where are you going to end up? You're going to have to take birth again until you can make a decision about where you want to go. Okay? So, Salokya Mukti is you live in the same planet as the Lord. So there's Vaikuntha Lok, there's Shiva Lok, there's so many different lokas that are there in the spiritual world. And the difference between the spiritual world and the material world, once you go to the spiritual world, you never take birth again. You don't come down here on earth. You don't suffer from birth, you don't suffer from old age, death, or disease. You don't suffer from these things. The spiritual world is eternal. Everything there is bliss, is anand. Everything there is full of knowledge. And everything there is eternal. Eternal meaning that you don't have to go through the cycle of birth and death. So why would we want to be here in the material world? The material world is a place where, we're getting the results of our good karma, we're getting the result of our bad karma. And, not every day, we can't be smiling all day long, is it? Some parts of the day we're smiling, and other parts of the day we're not smiling, because there's difficulties. And we say, "Mujhe dukh kyun aa rahe hain?" मैं अच्छी बनने की कोशिश करती हूँ, पर फिर भी मैं खुश नहीं है, क्यों? और ये लोग सब बुरे हैं, इसको खुशी कैसे मिल रही है? So we become confused because we're not meant to be here in the material world. The material world is described to be a jail. We are currently in jail. Yeah? The material world is our place where we've come to learn our lessons for our mistakes that we've made and to become a better version of ourselves, to qualify to go back to the spiritual world. Yeah? So, but then, like I said, you have a choice of where you go, where you want to be. So then you've got the fourth one, which is Samipya, which means that you live close to God always. You're always with Him, you're always engaged in His service.
Can't read the spelling, is too light.
Is it too light?
The nearness.
Nearness, yes, to be near to.
Samipya.
I'll write it again for you later on, to take a picture of it. So this is to be near to the Lord. Now, does that mean, let me give the example. Arjun is a pure devotee of the Lord. So the Pandavas, Arjun. Is he in the spiritual world? Is Arjun in the spiritual world? When we hear the Mahabharata and the Gita, is Arjun in the spiritual world, or is he here in the material world with us? He's with us. But, even though he's in the material world with us, he's attained Mukti. Why? He's attained Samipya Mukti. Because he's always with the Lord, he's always serving the Lord. He's always next to Him, he's always feeling bliss. He understands that everything that I'm doing in my life, the duty that I'm doing in my life is with the Lord. So that's Mukti. So it doesn't mean you have to die to get Mukti. You can get Mukti here and now, but you have to be in a higher state of consciousness, where your desires, your ichaya are there to serve the Lord and not yours. Like Arjun did. Arjun didn't want to fight in the war. He said, I don't want to fight. These are my family members. आप क्यों मुझे झगड़ा करा रहे हैं? तो कृष्ण भगवान ने बोला, नहीं, आप झगड़ा करो, पर मेरे नाम से करो, क्योंकि ये आपका कर्तव्य है. ये लोग जो पावर में हैं, ये बहुत बुरी बातें कर रहे हैं, लोगों को मार रहे हैं, ये जो the wealth, they're getting rid of the wealth. There's so many different bad things that the Kauravas did. So he said, don't worry, your duties, you're a Kshatriya, you're a warrior. You go to war, but you do it as a service to me. So that is Bhakti. Bhakti is when you do every single activity, but you do it in the service of the Lord. Okay, so let me ask you here, right? So a lot of you are mothers and fathers. How do you be a mother or a father in the service of the Lord? So I want you to think about this and talk about it with your partner. If Arjun, he was a Kshatriya, and he was killing people and he was doing all of these things, but his actions were considered to be bhakti because it was the instruction of the Lord. So think about your life as mothers, as wives, as husbands, as fathers, as going to the office or whatever it is you're doing, cooking. How can you do that as bhakti for the Lord? So I want you to discuss that. I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes. Have a think and a reflect that how is it that I can live my life in a way where I'm doing bhakti for the Lord?
I think if you do things...
You discuss it with your partner, so we'll discuss it after this. Yeah, if you just discuss with each other and then we'll ask.
You have to go to I think it's a very basic one. This is like all to पूरे तन मन धन से काम कर रहे हैं जो कार्य सारे जो तू करवा मैं थे तो तेरी शक्ति जब मैं ना ईश्वर भगवान जो बात सबको बड़ा हर कर्म हर
Okay, so hopefully you've had enough time to discuss. So if you keep your answers very brief, maybe 1 or 2 lines, that would be great. So let's hear from you how you feel you can live your life and do your occupation as bhakti or as service for the Lord. So
yeah, karam. I think we just keep doing our karams and forget about the result of that or fruit of that. And at work also, we've been just passionate to our work, and also at the same time we were thinking of getting money as well. It's not only we're just doing work as a laborer, but we were bringing money home, and that money also we were helping family. So that was also our karam. If the child is sick, we just forget about sleep. We have sleepless nights. We still do our karam to make the child happy.
Wonderful. How do you do that as a service for the Lord? So you're talking about serving your family, which is good. That's your karam.
Yeah.
But how do you make that karam bhakti?
Yeah, because we think that's God's wishes as well. God wants us to do good deeds, to forget about the returns after that.
Sure. So to not be attached to the result.
Yeah.
So to do your duty and not be attached to the result.
Okay,
wonderful. Thank you.
कर्म करते हुए भगवान का नाम है, जो भी कर्म कर रहे हैं उसको अर्पित करते जाएं और सेम टाइम भक्ति भगवान का कोई भी नाम जो है स्मरण करें.
Okay. So to offer everything that you do in the service of the Lord, doing those activities and be conscious of the Lord, thinking of the Lord as you're doing it, and to offer the result to the Lord as well. Yeah.
I think in 2nd adhyay, when he says, Sarva dharman parityaj, mamekam sharanam vraj, aham tvam mokshyami ma shucha. That is the 100% guarantee that if whatever you do it for him, on his name, then he says, aham tvam mokshasi, मैं तुमको मोक्ष दूंगा, ma shucha, चिंता नहीं करने की जरूरत. It's sort of complete surrender to the God. That's actually the basic idea.
Gee, wonderful. So he's quoted a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, which Krishna says, abandon all varieties of religion. And when it says a religion, it means get rid of these whole ideas, I'm this, and just focus on surrendering to me and serving me. So that's what Krishna is saying. So do all your activities, and he says, I personally will deliver you. Yeah, that's what he's saying. Wonderful, thank you. Anybody else? Had your hand up, Sonia?
Yeah, I feel like I'm completely beginner, but what I learned is there's 4 yogas, and I think on day-to-day basis I try to employ it, but I don't know whether I'm doing it right or not. Like Bhakti yoga is, so my phone is literally on 24 hours, even if I'm driving or when I'm at work, I put the computer on, and some sort of mantra will be on. That's what my mom used to say. Even if you say God's name once in a day with a full-on devotion, you will have effect. And so I'm listening literally 1,000 times, hoping that at least on one of the ones throughout the day that's gone through. So karma yoga, doing some kind of volunteering, Gyan yoga, trying to read. So every day I'm just trying to read a little chapter or trying to understand something. Coming here as well, I'm trying to do that sort of Gyan yoga. The sadhana, again, I try to do like meditation, some sort of thing. But like it says, I feel like I'm in the beginning. I'm sort of trying to incorporate all these things on my day-to-day basis throughout, and hoping that I will have some kind of, work through it another way.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we've got a few things there. So listen to bhajans, you said, to do activities which are serving others, to be conscious, reading the scriptures as well. So these can all be defined as bhakti, actually. They can all be defined as bhakti. Do you have any other answers here? Yes.
I was more like unconditional. So all the things I do, they haven't got a condition that I'll get something back. So if I, give money to charity, that's unconditional. If I'm helping my family, it's unconditional. I don't need to receive anything back. If I come to the Mandir and I do seva at the Mandir, it's unconditional. So that's the way I...
So the mood of being unconditional. So that's a brilliant point. So let's define bhakti. So bhakti, when we say it in English, is described as devotional service. With Sanskrit words, it's very hard to find an English word exactly, but we try as much as best to capture it. So devotional service, meaning that everything that you do from the moment you wake up and to the moment you go to bed is a seva. You see it as a seva. But what you do is, you don't do it as an act of service to your family, or do it in an unconditional way, which can sometimes be difficult with family members, because you're like, I cooked 7 meals and you couldn't even wash up, and you have all these kind of arguments. It's very hard to be unconditional. So the idea is that you do every activity for God. So you're like, I'm doing this washing up because this is God's house and I'm trying to make God happy. But who still benefits? Your family still benefits from it. So then it doesn't become, it's not karma anymore, it's bhakti. Okay, so that's the idea. So every activity you do, whether you're going to work, in the morning, best way, how do you implement bhakti in your life? So you start off, as soon as you wake up in the morning, even before you brush your teeth, you get down on the floor and you offer your obeisances. You do pranam. You either do your guru pranam or pranam to Bhagavan, and you say, everything that I do today, I'm going to do as an act of service for you. Please, can you help me remember you during the day? And then every activity you do, from the moment you wake up, you do your puja, you do your cooking. You don't cook according to like, oh, I feel like eating this today. You think, what does Bhagavan want to eat today? What shall I cook for him? Cook it very nicely without tasting it, making it jutta. Offer it to the Lord. Yeah. After he's had it, then you eat it. Then you're eating prasad. Then that is an act, your daily act of eating, which is normally developing karma. You do that as an act of service. Yeah, so that becomes a bhakti. Dropping your kid to school, getting them ready, teaching them. You see it as, this is my bhakti. I've been given the role of a parent. Let me serve my child the best that I can. But I'm not doing it for this child. I'm doing it out of love of God. So every activity, washing up, mowing the lawn, fixing the car, whatever it is you do, you understand. And then if you lose consciousness of the Lord during the day, you might forget. You might, I went to work all day, I didn't think about God once. It's okay. Come home from work. Go to your Mandir, wherever it is, within your home, and you bow down and say, all my activities that I did today, I may have not remembered you, but I'm doing it as an act of service for you. Okay? And even then, at the end of the day, before you go to bed, saying, do pranam on the floor and say, everything that I did today, my Lord, I did it for you, even if I didn't remember you. When your salary comes, don't think, oh, I have to pay this bill, now we can go on holiday, this, something. No, you get your salary and you offer it to Bhagavan. You give it and you say, I have to maintain myself and my family, so I did this as a seva, but I did it for you. Here you go, the salary is yours. Who's going to spend it? You're going to spend it. But it's that consciousness. You just shifted your consciousness. That's all you have to do. You don't have to make major changes in your life. You just shift your consciousness, thinking, I'm not doing this for everybody around me, I'm doing this for Bhagavan. This is called bhakti. Okay? And then with the yoga ladder, I mean, I've drawn the yoga ladder on the other side, but I don't know if we've got enough time, but with the yoga ladder, it says, so actually maybe I will quickly just go through it. So with the yoga ladder, what we've got here, it starts off with animal life, right? People who've got no sense of God consciousness. Then it's karma kanda. You do activity, or you might do some sort of puja, but you do it for, let me get a nice house, let my child get a good husband, let me get nice grandchildren. That's known as karma kanda. That's not actually on the yoga ladder. That's beyond. The yoga ladder starts here. When you start doing your activity, but you're thinking, okay, I'm doing it out of duty because I'm a mother or a father, that's karma yoga. Then gradually as we elevate, so the idea is not that we keep going on one-on-one. The idea is that we elevate ourselves. We work out which level of consciousness are we on and which one do I want to get to. And obviously the conclusion is to try and get to Bhakti, which is beyond Ashtanga Yoga, which I forgot to write on the board today. So let me just write it in quickly. So first of all, you start doing your activities out of duty, but you still have a desire of the rewards, you still have a desire of what you want to do. That's Sakam Karma Yoga. There's only certain things, you want to do it as an act of your karma, but you still attach to what you're going to do. So that's Sakam Yoga. Nishkam Karma Yoga is, it doesn't matter what the occupation is, you just get on with it and you're not attached to the fruits. But still you're not completely conscious of God. Jnana Yoga, I get lots of knowledge, but I'm not actually putting it into action. Okay. Then you've got Ashtanga Yoga, which is the different types of yoga and exercise and dhyan, meditation. If all of these, all you have to do is add God into it, and then it becomes Bhakti Yoga. And it's only through Bhakti Yoga actually that gets you liberation. Why? How does that work? How is it that only through Bhakti we get free from the cycle of birth and death?
Lesser attachment होगी, मैं खत्म होएगी.
Yeah.
है ना? If you're doing for everything, even from just simple breathing or going to the toilet or eating one bite, if you think that is his power you're doing for him, then you won't be the subject. That's the meaning.
Wonderful. So aham mameti, मेरे लिए, मैं, वो चले जाता है क्योंकि आप खुद के लिए नहीं कर रहे हैं, आप सब भगवान के लिए कर रहे हैं. हम जब कर्म करते हैं वो भी हम खुद के लिए करते हैं, हमारे परिवार के लिए करते हैं, जनता के लिए कर रहे हैं, पर ये जो भक्ति है वो खुद भगवान के लिए करते हैं. So yes, this sense of, not sense of I and mine, and you become detached. So it's not becoming detached, that I'm switching everything off, I'm going to have no desires. The desires are there, but you're doing it as an act of service to the Lord. Then slowly, it's called a higher taste. But if they're holding a knife, a child, and you're trying to take the knife off them, and they're getting upset and crying, it's very difficult, isn't it? But as soon as you say, would you like a chocolate? Immediately they'll drop the knife. They'll take the chocolate. So this is described as higher taste. Higher taste, developing a higher level of taste for something. So you let go of this aham mameti and these selfish desires, but those desires you then engage in the service of the Lord, and that will give you mukti as well. Yes, sorry.
Keep you in your duty without thinking the reward of this, and that's Bhakti, because everything is offered then to the God. Then you don't have to be involved yourself, it's the God. He's doing it.
Wonderful. So he's quoted another verse from the Bhagavad Gita, is like, you do your activities in the service of the Lord. So I'm going to ask you a question that you're going to discuss with your partner again. It's your last interactive exercise. I want you to think about it. Is it enough being a good person? We're told a lot in Hinduism, oh, it's all good, just be a good person. One, what does being a good person mean? And secondly, is that enough for mukti? Is it enough for mukti? Will being a good person give us mukti? So I'll give you a few minutes to discuss with your partner.
And a good person, then Can you use any dark pen so can't read it? Any black, if you have the black, that would be better. Yes, this is better. 4 minutes.
Okay, so if we wrap up there, so we're going to look at a topic now. We'll listen to what you said. We're going to look at a topic now. So what will lead us to Mukti? What will help us get to Mukti? So we've discussed that a little bit today. We'll discuss that a little bit more in a moment. But yes, what's your views on the question? Like, is it enough to be a good person? No. So why not? Give us a reason.
Because we don't know how many wrong things we are doing unintentionally. Intentionally you will know you're doing things right, but unintentionally you don't know how many ants you're killing under your feet every day. So I think it's very hard, and I think if I remember it correctly, even Bhisham Pitama, he threw a snake which went against a nail. So he has not done anything wrong in his life, but for just one unintentional mistake, he had to suffer that nail's bite.
Sure. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Gentlemen? Is it enough to be a good person?
Me?
No, the person next to you.
Okay, I think so. I think this is what is in your hand to be a good person. So, and I think it's enough really, because I think
it's enough for Mukti. So you've come in a bit later. So we're covering Mukti.
Yeah. So
my question is being a good person enough to get Mukti? That's my question. So maybe we'll come back to you. Any other answers here? Why is being a good person not? Yes, give to them. Louder, I can't hear you.
We can't hear her.
It doesn't matter, I'll explain.
Okay.
Alright, thank you, John.
Service.
Say that again.
Selfless service.
So you're saying selfless service is more than just being a good person? Yeah? Okay, anything else? Okay, so I'm going to explain to you actually that why it's not enough to just be a good person to get Mukti. So remember, Mukti is to get freedom from the cycle of birth and death. Being a good person, it might get you some good garam, it might, make you a better person, but will it get you Mukti? So Mukti is, we want to get out of this material world, remember. We don't want to be taking birth again and again. I mean, who here wants to take birth again? No one. Raise your hands. Anyone? Okay. Who wants to get out of this material world? Raise your hands.
Everybody.
Well, we've got a few people who haven't raised their hands, so you want to still be in the world? So I'll ask the question again. Anyone who doesn't want to take birth again on this material world, raise your hands. Okay? So, I'd like to hear why you don't want to. Yeah.
Because I think if you think that way, it is very passive and idle, doing nothing. And you can't really think of that situation unless you are a dead body. When you are alive, you've got to think something, you've got to do something. But the only thing, whatever you do, offer it to the God, and that's it.
Okay. All right, wonderful. Anybody else who doesn't want to break free from the cycle of birth and death? Okay. So breaking free from the cycle of birth and death doesn't mean being passive and not acting in any way. Right? It means acting, but acting for a higher cause. So now I'm going to give you an explanation of karma. Now, you may all argue with me about what I'm about to tell you, but this is not my opinion. This is from the Bhagavad Gita. This is what Krishna tells us in the Bhagavad Gita. And the reason why I'm giving this example is that sometimes in Hinduism we can go through life not having picked up a shastra or pick up a book and reading what actually God has prescribed for us. Okay? So it's not my opinion. I'm explaining you the verses that are written in the Bhagavad Gita. So the word karma can be used in many different ways. Yeah? It can be used as action. Yeah? But we all know that every action has a reaction, right? Is there anyone who disagrees with that? Every action we perform has a reaction, okay? Okay, so karma means action. Now, if you do a good action, what happens with it? You get a good reaction, right? And where do we get our good reactions? In the spiritual world or in the material world? In the material world. So does that mean you have to take birth again to accept your good karma? We've got mixed answers. So your karma, karma is material. It's a material thing. Every action you do is a reaction. So if I've given Sumita ji, I've given you £10,000.
Wow.
There you go. Do I? We always hear good. Every action has a reaction. Does that mean I have to take birth again to receive that £10,000 from you in the future?
Yes.
Yes. You have to take.
Yes.
Where am I going to take? I have to take birth again in the material world to receive that. You're not going to get it in the spiritual world, right? Yeah. So that's why my question is being a good person, is it enough? You do good actions, that's good, that's great. We should be good people. We should be the best that we can be. We should look after society. But doing a good action means that you get a bank balance of good rewards, yeah? Yeah, that's your good rewards, your plus sign, your positive bank balance. But you have to take birth again to receive that good karma. So whatever good you're doing for others, you have to take birth again to receive that good karma. Yeah. So that doesn't give you mukti. So this binds you. Okay? Now, what's vikarma? To do nothing. Not quite. Yes.
Detach yourself, is it? To detach
not quite,
yourself
no.
from vikarma?
Yes, to do something bad action. So I go and I mug Sonia down the street, she's walking down with her bag, Louis Vuitton bag, and I mug her. That's a bad action. So do I have to take birth again to receive the negative action? Yes. So that is my negative bank balance. And just to let you know, those two bank balances don't mix. If you do a good action, it doesn't mean it overcomes my bad action that I did. I still have to get the result of my bad action. I still have to get... So that still binds you. Right. So what is akarma? That's your answer that you gave earlier. Akarma means to perform no action. Sorry, say that.
No action.
No action. What does that mean? No action. Laziness, okay. Any other answers?
You don't get any good actions or bad actions, so you don't get anything in a result.
Okay. A wonderful round of applause for this young man. Okay. So no action, what does it mean? Not to act, be lazy, do nothing. That's not actually what no action means. Yes, give that loudly. So doing akarma, meaning no action, doesn't mean you don't act. It means you perform actions, but they're not considered actions because you do it as bhakti. You do it as an act of service for the Lord. Do you have to come back to take a reward for that?
No.
No. What is the reward for that?
Mukti.
Freedom.
Freedom. So I'll come back to you. You get bhakti reward for that. Okay. Now that you don't get in the material world, the reward for that. That is actually in the spiritual world. Yeah, so you get your bhakti pot. Yeah, that's your bhakti bank account. Okay, so no action doesn't mean you don't do nothing. It means you do everything that you were doing before, but you do it as an act of service for the Lord. So I can tell you the verse from the Bhagavad Gita, which that one is from. I'll come back to it. I'll give you the verse so you can have a look. It talks about action and inaction. So akarma means to perform no action. Do every action, but do it as a reward. Do you know that we even incur sin for eating food? Even if you're vegetarian, you're eating vegetables, you incur a sin because you've still taken a life. You don't get a heavy karma like you do from eating meat, But when you eat vegetables, you accrue karma. Okay? So what does Krishna suggest in the Bhagavad Gita? He says, offer everything to me. Everything vegetarian, you offer it to me. Not for, oh, I don't want to get any karma, so I'm offering it to the Lord. You offer it as a service to the Lord. That you're my dear Lord, you're my Aradhya, I love you, I worship you. Here you go, I've cooked a nice meal for you today, please accept it. And then you eat it afterwards. So that, you are not only eating prasadam, but at the same time you're also not getting any sin for what you're eating. Something very basic that we do every day. Yeah? So that's what no action is. And that's how we get mukti. You get mukti, you get salvation when you no longer have performed actions that you need to get a result for. Okay? So then you can break out the cycle of birth and death. Yeah? So is there any questions on that? Okay. Any questions on that? Is there anyone who disagrees with me?
No.
You disagree? Okay, tell me why.
I don't know how to explain, but I'm disagreeing.
You disagree? It's important you tell me why you disagree so we can discuss it.
Point? Which point? Out of these, which point you disagree?
If you don't do anything, it's not कि कुछ हो रहा है, कोई गलत भी देख रहे हो, ठीक भी हो रहा है, तुसी चुप रहने, मचले रहने. This is not witness of. Yeah. I don't know how to explain that.
I think what she is trying to say is,
I think
if she neglects the whole world, she doesn't do any action, only does bhakti.
Human life,
yeah.
Then you should do something.
Yeah, that's what she's saying. If we do only bhakti,
but only
we don't do good things or bad things. So that's karma is not relevant for her.
Okay, मैं समझाती हूँ. कोई बैठा है बाहर, उसके पास घर नहीं है, उसके पास कुछ खाने के लिए नहीं है, तो मैं क्या करूँगी? वो देख लूँगी और चले जाऊँगी. क्या करना चाहिए मुझे? कुछ खिलाना चाहिए उसके.
अगर मेरे पास है तो I should give it.
कुछ खिलाना चाहिए. Okay, तो मैं कुछ उसको खिला सकती हूँ. मैं शॉप में जाती हूँ, मैं चिकन भी ले सकती हूँ या मैं कुछ वेजिटेरियन भी ले सकती हूँ. चिकन लेती हूँ तो उस पर मुझे बुरा कर्म मिलेगा, पर मैं वेजिटेरियन लेती हूँ, उसको दे देती हूँ, मुझे अच्छा कर्म मिल गया. Okay, ये कर्म हो गया. और अभी फ्यूचर में मुझे फिर जन्म लेना है क्योंकि कोई मुझे कुछ खाने को देना है क्योंकि मैंने दिया था किसी को. तो ये हो गया कर्म. तो इसको अकर्म कैसे बनाते हैं?
जो उसको देना भगवान को, ये समझ कर आई एम गिविंग हिम. इसके साथ मुझे एक कहानी याद आ गई, अगर 2 मिनट
बाद में 3 मिनट रह गए तो आप बता सकते हैं. आप जो आप बताना चाहते हैं बहुत सही है, पर अभी खत्म करना है मुझे. तो what do I do? मैं कुछ खरीदती हूँ दुकान से या मैं घर जाती हूँ, कुछ बनाती हूँ, भगवान को भोग में देती हूँ, वो प्रसाद बन गया, मैं उनको देती हूँ. तो मैंने अकर्म कर दिया. ये नहीं कि मैं कुछ नहीं करती अकर्म, कि मैं यहाँ बस माला ही जपती रहूं या मैं बस किताबें ही पढ़ते रहूं, कि मैं बच्चों को छोड़ दिया, पति को नहीं. सब कुछ करो जो आप पहले कर रहे थे, पर आप उनके लिए नहीं कर रहे, भगवान के लिए कर रहे. तो वो है, that is what अकर्म is. तो तभी हमको मुक्ति मिलती है. नहीं तो हम बार बार यहीं पर आते रहते हैं, तो हमको मालूम नहीं हम क्यों आ रहे हैं वापस. क्योंकि हमने एग्जाम देना है, एग्जाम को हमको पास नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि हमने काम नहीं किया है, पढ़ा नहीं है कि क्या चाहिए मुझे यहाँ मुक्ति मिलने के लिए. So I'll stop there on that. And what I wanted to say in conclusion, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse 6, whatever state or being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain me without fail. You should think of me at the same time carry out your duty, therefore you will attain me without a doubt. He who meditates on me as a Supreme Lord, remembering me undeviated, is sure to reach me. To those who are constantly devoted to me by serving me with love, I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. And one who understands that never takes birth in this world again. Okay, so I'll finish there.
Thank you very much.
And also, just briefly, the Yuga Dharma, so every Yuga, there's a particular Dharma you do to get Mukti. Yeah. In Treta Yuga, you do yagyas. In Satya Yuga, you do meditation for thousands of years. In Kali Yuga, even though it's such a difficult time, Kali Yuga is the worst time to be in. It is the easiest time to get Mukti, right? And the Yuga Dharma is to chant the holy name of the Lord, to do Sankirtan, to chant on beads, whether it be Om Namah Shivaya, whether it be the Hare Krishna mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, whatever it is. But chanting is the Yuga Dharma. What you can get today in Kali Yuga would take you millions of lifetimes to do in another Yuga. So make good use of the fact that we're in Kali Yuga. The easy shortcut we've got is just all you have to do is chant the holy name. So that's my request to you. And whenever you get an opportunity, just chant the holy name of the Lord. Thank you very much.
I call Atulji to say a few words, please.
Sabko, Jai Mata Ki. I wasn't prepared at all. I wasn't sure whether I will be coming here or not. Thank you, Vrindavaniji. Thank you very much. And I have heard you before. You are a very intelligent person, or you are a learned person. And I was looking through the messages. Even Ashwiniji said, please do attend today's session in the group because you are the senior lecturer in the Vedic studies. So thank you, Vrindavaniji. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. And I'm pretty sure that whatever you have said, thousands word, at least we may be able to get at least few within us. And then Karat Karat Abhyas Tejuramati Ho Sujan. And then this is the reason we have got this every month on various topics. So we will be doing this regularly. So I don't know what else to say really. I think because you have explained it so well, and I'm not going to make a mess of it really by saying anything. Thank you, Vrindavaniji, and thank you, Vidya. I don't know your name, but I also know you as a twin. You always come together. So thank you. Big round of applause for Vrindavaniji and Vidya. I think just Aarti hogi, shayad? Okay, Pandaji is going to say something. I got a few announcements to make, just one or two. On the next weekend, on 10th of July, we got 108 Shri Durga Chalisa. So if you haven't got your name, you have given to us. So please do sponsor Hanuman Chalisa, Shri Durga Chalisa. So we got few names, but we are still waiting for many really. So please, आप अत्री आंटी को लिखवा सकते हैं, पंडित जी को लिखवा सकते हैं, मुझे लिखवा सकते हैं या किसी को भी. और क्योंकि ज्यादातर लोग सब मंदिर के ही मेंबर हैं, तो आप लोग जरूर 108 श्री दुर्गा चालीसा का पाठ है 10 तारीख को. It will be starting from around 9ish with the snacks and teas, and then part. And then there will be snacks all day, and with the lunch followed by the dinner as well. We do provide at some point after 5 o'clock, because it's Sunday, so we do offer something afterwards as well, 5 to 7, bhajan kirtan if there is any. But 7 o'clock Aarti will be there. And the following week is very important, because we are doing this kind of event after a long time, and it's a long awaiting. And then many dil ke bahut kareeb hai, it's very close to my heart, which is okay, no, it's okay. Which is very important to me. 16th of July is the day when we are doing 3 events in one. 11 till 2, which is Saturday, and this is very much related to her. If we say I'm selfish, so I am, because that is very much in betterment of us. First one, we are doing organ donation. It's very important to us. Many of us are dying because we don't have organ in replacement. If any of us require any kind of a organ, we will look for it, but we will only get it if we get it in the bank. We have many organs, but they are white organs. But there is nothing wrong with it, because when we have it, we don't mind, but it doesn't match. That's the problem. So we are going to waste that organ as well. हमारी बुआ जी ने अभी जब उनकी 2019 में उनकी डेथ हुई, and I know many other examples, she has donated more or less everything from her body. She was 79. I never thought that she would be that fit to give that many, but she has given so many. And then I thought I got a kind of a better knowledge of organ donation, but I didn't know that at the age of 79 she could donate skin. She has donated skin. She has donated tendons. I never thought that could be given, but she has. So it's amazing. So we can do it as well. हम 3 लोग हैं घर में, मैं, सारिका और आशीष. We all have, or we all are an organ donation register for years. And Dr. Satyavrat Sharma, who is a deputy lieutenant, he's got so many ranks on his name. So he will be coming, and then he is going to say, he's the main guest for that. And then second topic we are doing is what's happening in black and ethnic minority group. How we always complain that there are so many services are not equally divided within the black and Asian minority ethnic group. So, but I think the main time, sometimes the problem is we don't know where to go and what to ask. So please, if there are any issues, like if I could say domestic violence, we all suffer. We don't say that we can, because, and then mental health, we suffer, we got stigma. All of us got stigma. I think the white, black, we all have a stigma. But the problem is because we are a close-knitted family or a society, then we are always have this fear that if we said something, that it will go. And then we don't even know what is mental health. So please do come. And the third one is again very important, because I have seen so many families divided on this, which is wills and trust. I have seen in India, I have seen in here, somebody died in the family, and then families afterwards divided because their name was not in the property or the will not being made. So I think हम भी ऐसे ही, हमारे पापा ने अभी तक वो नाम किया नहीं था मम्मी के, पापा जी को गए 9 साल हो गए, वो नाम मम्मी के मकान अभी भी नहीं हुआ. So it was easy just to sign it on mommy's name or somebody else's name, but it is not done. So which is a suffer. And then if we start to fight 3 of the brothers that this should be mine, so it will be. And then we are fighting for right really. And I have seen many right examples of that family had never been in the talking terms again. So please get this sorted. There is nothing wrong that if you have given that house or named somebody's house or your house, or just say it is for me. If I die, this 10% would go to temple. What's wrong with it? Or 10% or 5% or 2% will go to site savers or save the children or something. Then if it is not, you will go with your wishes with nobody know what is in you. So there are 3 topics, and very important, we have invited different guests for it. So please, if you want to say something on any of the topic, although I don't have much space, but I do want to that we need to have our view on it. That what as a audience, what we think, as a public, as the community, that what do we think. So please, 16th of July, which is 11 till 2, tea, snacks with the food will be available. I wouldn't be take any longer because I already take always. Okay. Panditji, please. Thank you.
सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे काम स्वरूपिणी विद्यारंभ करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा. I would like to explain in Hindi. Maybe it will very helpful for I explain and you understand also. तो अभी आपने ऑलरेडी सुन रखा है कि वंदना जी ने कितनी अच्छी तरीके से भक्ति से मुक्ति के मार्ग बताए. सबसे पहले तो भक्ति, उसके बाद में पहले मुक्ति है क्या? जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि सर्व दोष विवर्जिता. जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि, जो साइकिलिंग जो थी ना, इससे आपका छुटकारा मिल जाना ही ज्ञान के द्वारा मुक्ति का मार्ग बताया जाता है। बर्थ डिसीज, ओल्ड एज मीन्स जरा, डेथ मीन्स मृत्यु, है ना। जन्म, मृत्यु, जरा, व्याधि, संस्कृत में उसका वो करना पड़ता है ना, अन्वय, अन्वय के बाद में फिर, इसलिए वो श्लोक सीधे ही होते हैं, वैसे क्रम यही है। तो जन्म, मृत्यु, जरा, व्याधि से जब व्यक्ति को छुटकारा मिल जाए तो समझ लेना चाहिए मुक्ति है। मुक्ति के मात्र 3 ही ऐसे साधन बताए हैं जिसके द्वारा आप मुक्त हो सकते हैं। पहला है ज्ञान मार्ग, दूसरा है भक्ति मार्ग, तीसरा है निष्काम कर्मयोग। ज्ञान मार्ग में सबसे बड़े जो हैं श्री आदि गुरु शंकराचार्य, उनका ये मानना है कि कुरुते गंगा सागर गहनम प्रतपरपाल न मबथा दानम ज्ञान बहीने सर्वमतेन मुक्तिर भवति न जन्म सतेन ज्ञानान ऋते न मुक्ति। आप कितना भी पाठ कर लें, कितनी भी पूजा कर लें, कितनी बार भी गंगा सागर हो जाए, गौमुख से गंगा सागर तक सब तीर्थ को स्नान करें, चंद्रायण व्रत दान करें या अन्य वस्त्र गौ दान करें, आत्मज्ञान के बिना यह सबको मुक्त नहीं पा सकता है। बीते जन्म अनेक किंतु वह भव पार नहीं जा सकता है। कितने भी आप जन्म ले लें, कितना भी दान कर लें, कितना भी पुण्य कर लें, कुछ भी कर लें, परंतु ज्ञान के बिना मुक्ति संभव हो ही नहीं सकती है। और वो ज्ञान कौन है? आत्म तत्व ज्ञान, अपनी ज्योति को पहचानना। तो पहला ज्ञान के थ्रू, दूसरा है भक्ति के थ्रू। भक्ति के थ्रू का जो है ना, ये रामानुज जो है, इन्हीं ने भक्ति का प्रतिपादित किया है। तो वो कहते हैं कि जन्म मृत्यु से जरा व्याधि, इन सब का कोई जरूरी नहीं है। अगर मुक्ति चाहते हो तो भक्त बनके भी मुक्त हुआ जा सकता है। कहते बार बार जन्म लेते रहो, भगवान की सेवा करते रहो और फिर चले जाओ, फिर आ जाओ। तो इसीलिए जो भरत जी हैं, राम लक्ष्मण भरत शत्रुघ्न में जो भरत जी हैं, उन्होंने भक्ति मार्ग अपनाया और अपना करके जब चित्रकूट जा रहे थे राम जी से मिलने के लिए, तो इलाहाबाद में ही जो आज प्रयागराज है, तो उसमें ही स्नान करने के बाद उन्होंने कहा कि अर्थ न धर्म न काम रुचि। भक्त की परिभाषा, ना तो हमें अर्थ चाहिए, न धर्म चाहिए, न कोई कामना चाहिए, कुछ नहीं चाहिए, गति न चाहूं निर्वाण, मोक्ष भी नहीं चाहिए। तो क्या चाहिए? बोले जन्म जन्म रति राम पद। जितने भी जन्म लूं केवल राम भगवान के ही चरणों की मुझे आराधना मिलती रहे। जन्म जन्म रति राम पद, यही वरदान न आन। केवल और केवल यही वरदान उन्होंने मांगा। तो पहला है ज्ञान से मुक्ति, दूसरा है भक्ति के साथ में मुक्ति, और तीसरा है निष्काम कर्म योग, जो कि सुनने में सरल लगता है लेकिन सबसे कठिन यही है। कामना में कोई ना कोई स्वार्थ चपक ही जाता है, कोई ना कोई आसक्ति चपक ही जाती है, क्योंकि हमें वैराग्य नहीं है, हम डिटैच नहीं है संसार से। तो इसीलिए भागवत की बहुत साधन है। ये निष्काम कर्म योग जो है, ये सबसे कठिन साधन है, और आज तक अर्जुन की छोड़ दो तो ऐसा कोई भी प्रमाण नहीं मिलता है कि कोई निष्काम कर्म योग से मुक्त हो गया हो। कोई भी ऐसा नहीं। भक्ति से बहुत मिलते हैं, ज्ञान से बहुत मिलते हैं, लेकिन निष्काम कर्म योग बहुत कठिन है। तो इसी के साथ साथ में अष्टांग योग भी है, यम नियम आसन प्राणायाम प्रत्याहार धारणा ध्यान समाधि, जो कि अष्टांग योग उसके पीछे लिखा हुआ है। तो उससे भी समाधि की ओर पहुंचा जा सकता है। साथ ही साथ हम थोड़ा सा जैन और बौद्ध की तरफ भी जाते हैं। जैनी जो है वो इस मोक्ष को कैवल्य ज्ञान मानते हैं, और जो बौद्ध हैं वो मुक्ति या मोक्ष को ही, इसको निर्वाण कहते हैं बौद्ध, और जैनी कहते हैं कैवल्य ज्ञान, मोक्ष का ही उनका है। तो जो जैनी हैं वो कहते हैं सम्यक ज्ञान, सम्यक प्रज्ञा और सम्यक समाधि। सम्यक के साथ में उनका यही अर्थ है कि उस सत्य के साथ में जुड़ा रहे। तो इससे भी किया जा सकता है, इससे जन्म मृत्यु के चक्कर से बचा जा सकता है। बौद्ध का भी है, उन्होंने तो द्वादश निदान जिसको कहते हैं प्रतीत समुत्पाद, उन्होंने तो पूरा 12 तानों का चक्र बना दिया। अविद्या, संस्कार, विज्ञान, नाम रूप, षडायतन, स्पर्श, वेदना, तृष्णा, भव, जाति, जरा और मरण, पूरे 12 खड़ी बना दी कि हम अविद्या के कारण संस्कारों में फंसे रहते हैं। अविद्या, संस्कार, विज्ञान, विगता ज्ञान से विज्ञान, जो हमें ज्ञान नहीं हो पाता है। अविद्या, संस्कार, विज्ञान, नाम रूप, उसके बाद में हमें नाम रूप मिलते हैं। षडायतन जो कि मनुष्य की षडोर्मियां हैं, शरीर का धर्म है। स्पर्श, वेदना, तृष्णा, भव, जाति, इन्हीं में फंसे रहते हैं। अंत में जरा माने बुढ़ापा होकर के, मरण माने मर जाते हैं। ये बौद्ध का मानना है। तो ऐसे करके सारे यहीं से लिए गए हैं, कोई कहीं से नहीं लिया, सारे हिंदू धर्म से ही निकलते हैं। तो कहने का तात्पर्य यही है कि मुक्ति के विशेष और विशेष 3 ये साधन ही हैं। इसके साथ में आज का जो टॉपिक था कि साल्वेशन थ्रू भक्ति, ठीक है। तो साल्वेशन थ्रू भक्ति, भक्ति से पहले हम भक्त बने। गीता के 12वें और 13वें अध्याय में भगवान ने भक्त के लक्षण बताए हैं कि अगर वो लक्षण हम में घटित होते हैं तो ही हम भक्त हैं, इसके बाद ही हम भक्ति कर सकते हैं। तो अदिष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्र्या करुण एवचा निर्मोह निरहंकारा सम दुख सुखा क्षमी संतुष्टा सततम योगी ययात्मा दृढ़ निश्चया मैया पितिर मनोबुद्ध्युर यो भक्त्या में समे प्रिया। जो व्यक्ति द्वेष भाव से रहित है, अद्वेष्टा, जिसके अंदर किसी भी प्रकार का द्वेष नहीं है, ईर्ष्या नहीं है, जेलस नहीं है, वो है अद्वेष्टा। दूसरा है स्वार्थ रहित, जिसके अंदर कोई भी स्वार्थ नहीं है। तीसरा है अहंकारों से जो दूर हो, दूर दूर तक उसके अंदर अहंकार ना हो। तो और चौथा है जो सुख और दुख में समान रहे। पांचवा है सबको क्षमा करने वाला हो, और छठवां है सबको अपनी इंद्रियों में संयम रखे। सातवां है निरंतर वो संतुष्ट रहे, और आठवां है जो मुझ में दृढ़ निश्चय रखता है। ऐसा व्यक्ति जो निस्वार्थ भाव से या द्वेष कपट उसके अंदर कुछ नहीं है, जो बिल्कुल स्वच्छ है। भगवान कहते भी हैं कि अगर हम लोग कहें कि हमें पता कैसे चले कि हमारे अंदर रोग दोष हैं कि नहीं, तो भगवान ने पहले ही निर्देश दिया है कि निर्मल जनमन सो मोहि पावा। तो बोले पता कैसे चले कि निर्मल मन है कि नहीं? बोले उसका उपाय हम बता देते हैं कि मोह कपट छल छिद्र न भावा। छल कपट ये सब रोगी तो हैं मन के। जब तक ये मन में रहेंगे ना तो हम भक्त बन पाएंगे, ना हमसे भक्ति ही होगी। सचमुच भक्त बनना चाहते हो तो मन को धीरे 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 संभालने का प्रयास करें, और रास्ते 3 हैं, आप चयन करें। अगर आपके अंदर योग्यता है, ज्ञान मार्ग पे जाएं। आपके अंदर ज्ञान मार्ग की योग्यता नहीं है, भक्ति को अपनाएं। साथ ही साथ प्रयास निष्काम कर्म योग पर भी करें। तो इसी के साथ समय भी निकलता जा रहा, तो अब हम आरती की ओर अग्रसर होते हैं। लंबे मात की जय।
So we brought some books here, some children's books. So if you've got grandchildren or great grandchildren, as I'm hearing from some of you, then there's some nice books at the back. There's some nice books at the back with Vedic stories. So I learned Bhakti, I learned stories from my grandmother telling me stories at night time. Nowadays there's too much Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi on the television, so we're very busy with that. But if you can't remember the stories, you can buy them the books, so at least they can read the stories and start to get knowledge. We've got to start young. You know, my grandmother started young with me. That's why I'm here today, because of her. So yeah, there's loads of books there. Please take a look. Please buy for yourself or your grandchildren. Thank you.
दे देंगे आंटी, दे देंगे। कहाँ?
दो जने ले लो ना, दो जने ले लो।
कोई नहीं मुक्त हो
सारे आ जाओ, सारे आ जाओ।
सारिदे माँ, हे सारिदे माँ, अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे माँ। हे सारिदे माँ, हे सारिदे माँ, अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे माँ। तू स्वर की है देवी, ये संगीत तुझसे, हर शब्द तेरा, हर गीत तुझसे। हम हैं अकेले, हम हैं अधूरे, तेरी शरण हम, हमें प्यार दे माँ। हे शारदे माँ, हे शारदे माँ, अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे माँ। मुनियों ने समझी, मुनियों ने जानी, वेदों की भाषा, पुराणों की बानी। हम भी तो समझें, हम भी तो जाने, विद्या का हमको अधिकार दे माँ। हे शारदे माँ, हे शारदे माँ, अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे माँ। तू श्वेत वर्णी कमल पे विराजे, हाथों में बीड़ा मुकुट ओट सर्प साजे, मन से हमारे मिटा के अंधियारे, हमको उजाला का संसार दे माँ, हे सार दे माँ, हे सार दे माँ, अज्ञानिता से हमें तार दे माँ, हमें तार दे माँ। जलेन शीतले करणम त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव, त्वमेव बन्धु च सखा त्वमेव, त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव, त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव। कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणेति समर्पयामि, नारायणेति समर्पयामि। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु महेश्वरः, गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म, तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। यानि कानि च पापानि जन्मान्तरकृतानि च तानि सर्वाणि नश्यन्तु प्रदक्षिणायां पदे पदे। द्योः शान्तिरन्तरिक्षगुं शान्तिः, पृथिवी शान्तिरापः शान्तिरोषधयः, शान्तिः वनस्पतयः, शान्तिर्विश्वे देवाः, शान्ति ब्रह्म शान्तिः, सर्वगुं शान्तिः, शान्तिरेव शान्तिः, सामा शान्तिरेधि। जतो जतः समीहसे ततो नो अभयं कुरु, सन्नः कुरु प्रजाभ्यो भयन्नः पशुभ्यः सुशान्तिर्भवतु, सुशान्तिर्भवतु। बोल सरस्वती माता की जय, अम्बे मात की जय, जगदम्बे माता की जय, कृष्ण कन्हैया लाल की जय, राजा रामचंद्र भगवान की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, सभी देवी देवताओं की जय, सभी संतों की जय, सभी भक्तों की जय। जय जय श्री राधे श्याम, हर 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 महादेव।
आप सबका धन्यवाद। आज नीचे भंडारा पक्षों ने और दक्षा ने दोनों ने मिलकर बनाया है। आई थिंक यू जस्ट क्लैप फॉर देम प्लीज। ओके, थैंक यू वेरी मच। कोई भी भंडारा खाए बिना ना जाए। थैंक यू।
एक मिनट